And we're live.
Hello, everybody in 3D Printing World. I'm Dr. Lawrence Nightingale, and this is another Prime Number Tuesday, which can only mean one thing. How would you slice that? And as on every Prime Tuesday that we can manage, with me is Vicky Soma, 3D printing designer and 3D Printopia expert, and huge cheerleader. How are you doing today, Vicky?
I am doing good. I'm doing good.
Oh, good. Good to hear. Good to hear. And for those of you who are not familiar with How Would You Slice That, our show is a show about the 3D printing community and their projects and bodies of work that they bring into the world using 3D printing technology. On Prime Tuesdays that we share together, we talk about 3D printing tips and techniques, and then also how to optimize our projects for the things that we have in mind. So what kind of things have you been working on lately, Vicky, if any?
Oh my goodness. Very sparse on the 3D printing side since my mom has died, though I did turn on the printers this past week to make a little iris beholder from the video game Idle Champions that my husband plays. So it's like a little gift for him.
Wow.
But we've been doing a lot of activity on the 3D Printopia side. We're getting ready to redo our website. I'm working on an interactive map. And then last week, I was on the Unspooled podcast. So if you ever leave these streams and think Vicky doesn't talk enough, then you can go over to Unspooled and watch their episode number 41. They're coming up on 50 episodes soon. And I will put the link in the chat. They are very professional hosts. They knew how to make me feel welcome. And it was a really good experience all around being on their show.
Well, yeah, I saw the advertisement for that the day after it showed. So I'm definitely going to pick that up and check it out. And I've heard a little bit about Unspooled, so I'm really glad that they had somebody so distinguished as yourself to come on.
Do you remember that show, This Is Your Life, right? I feel like it was almost like that in 3D model form, because they were pulling up models from the woodwork, and it was really neat to reminisce about the inspiration behind it and, how those ideas became a reality.
Wow. And some of the things, did you see any things that you made with your maker gear from so long ago?
Oh, yes.
Oh, boy.
My beloved.
Workhorse that unit was. Very much so.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
And what you've been up to, Lawrence?
Well, I've been working with students from our business program here at my college and designing original products that the students have conceptualized. They give really, really as complete as they possibly can for somebody that is a layperson. They give me complete drawings, and I take those drawings, and I've been designing the physical representation of their products, so they want to put onto the market. So these students are people who have a business idea, and they're going to do the marketing, they're going to do the pitches, and they're going to have an example of their product that they're going to have on a business showcase towards the end of the semester. So I've been using my design skills that have actually gotten better. I didn't realize that I had gotten incrementally better at designing. I had been through some, I must say, disfiguring design experiences last fall, and I was like, no more design. But with the tools that I've been able to use, and really just using Tinkercad, I've been able to represent and bring those ideas into reality, which has been rewarding. Although every time I get done with one, there's another one coming up the pipe. So we got about 7 or 8 groups, and I've gotten 3 done so far.
For project-based learning, and
yes. Yeah, and that's full. And project-based learning is like a full spectrum type of experience for students, and it really does help them out quite a bit to put their learning into action. And so we're talking about action. We've got we have a guest every week on How Would You Slice That. So, and Vicki, tell us a little bit about who it is that we're going to be talking to
All right.
today.
So we're talking about project-based learning, and our guest tonight is probably a master of project-based learning. Tonight's guest, he encourages people to keep doing it big, and he practices what he preaches. This past holiday season, he put together a most intricate gingerbread city, not like gingerbread house or gingerbread factory like 2024, but a whole gingerbread city holiday light show. It featured 52 3D printed pieces, and most of those were multicolored prints and 800 pixels of LED lights. And not
Wow.
only that, it had a whole storyline, it had a soundtrack, it had custom voiceover work that he did himself. And so
Wow.
you can say that that's a big effort for sure. LED lights are a common accompaniment to his projects. And if you've been to the Rocky Mountain RepRap Festival or the Midwest RepRap Festival or 3D Printopia, you may have already spied his work. It could be in the form of Jano Leaves or large nozzles like the Revo nozzle that he did for 3D Printopia that are printing with light. He is a seasoned content creator. He last September he celebrated his 5-year anniversary. So through his live streams and his videos, he's been teaching and inspiring the maker community for 5.5 years now.
Wow.
Perhaps, at least for me, one of the most important lessons is a subtle, unspoken one. Earlier this year, he took a break. And I think, by doing so, he modeled for the community something that maybe we aren't doing as much as we should, which is it's okay to stop and take a breath and to take a break. So tonight we're going to talk big, and maybe we'll talk about breaks. And we're delighted to have Big Jano with us tonight. Hello.
Hey, Big Jano.
Good to see
Welcome
you both.
to the show.
Thank you guys so much for having me.
Do you have any addendums or corrections to the introduction?
No, that was beyond anything I was imagining. So thank you.
Okay.
That was no notes.
All right.
All right. Another perfect introduction. Well, thanks for being on the show, Jano. The projects that you've done and using the lights and all those things like that, and also being a prolific podcaster. What do you think is your favorite part of your contributions to the 3D printing community?
That's a great question.
That's a hard one.
I think my favorite part about all of it is just being able to share it with like-minded individuals. This community is, we're growing every day, but we're still a very small niche community. And so having this community to be able to share, and not just for myself, but everybody that does all sorts of different projects, whether it be, designing your own models or, just showcasing what other people make. It's being able to share this passion with the community as a whole is probably one of the things that I really enjoy the most, and what keeps me motivated to continue to do all these cool projects.
Wow. Well, thank you. And I appreciate that. And, one thing that you mentioned that I think is really crucial is the passion. And you've been printing for, the passion. So what do you remember, what has been a project that really kind of embodied that passion for you? You've done a lot of different things, a lot of impressive things, but.
Yeah. So little backstory on myself. So I am a mechanical engineer by day job. I do a lot of product design. I work for an electronics engineering company designing parts for electronics and interface devices. And I started that job back in late 2019. And I think it was within the first week of that job, I was told about the company. We had a 3D printer in the back room over there. It was like a Prusa Mark 2.5, if you can go far back. And they're like, okay, well, here's this printer. Figure out how to use it, because we use it to prototype for all the different products that we make. So I quickly started to understand how it works. I was familiar with 3D printing before that, but I really didn't get into 3D printing until I started this new job. And once I started playing around with it, I was like immediately just drawn into it. I was just constantly trying to use it anywhere I could. And then I think a few months down the road, I ended up getting my first printer after that. It's like 6 months after that is when I finally jumped the gun and finally bought my very first printer. I actually do have a picture of it still because
nice.
One of the projects that I just recently did was bringing it back to life not too long ago.
Okay.
There is the printer in question. Sorry, I thought I had this one camera disabled, but I guess I didn't. There we go. So this was my very first printer. This was the Anycubic Mega X, I believe it was. You actually, you might have saw this at 3D Printopia this past year because I just brought it back to life a couple months ago. I basically overhauled all the electronics underneath. I gave it some new parts. I clipperized it, so I was able to actually get it working again after it's been probably 2 or 3 years since I had used that printer regularly, and I have a better picture of what the front of that looks like now. So it's definitely heavily modified now on the front. I actually 3D printed a fan duct for this and also some other 3D printed parts in there as well. Still very much a work in progress. I'm still working on fine tuning it. But yeah, ever since then, back in 2020, since my day job required me to learn a little bit about 3D printing for prototyping, that's really what drew my passion. And I would say everything else kind of came after that.
Wow.
All the lights and stuff. But yeah, if it weren't for my day job, I probably wouldn't be in this community like I am now.
That's so neat. Like we've heard people from like their friends or I don't think we've heard anybody say their day job led to their 3D printing passion.
That's yes, congratulations on that. And I think that you can rename that day job to dream job for sure for a lot of people.
But you subsequently moved on. Like you moved, so you're in a different job now, right?
Actually, at the same job again.
Oh, okay.
So I did move a few years ago. I was living down in Florida, and then I did end up moving up to Pennsylvania. I did get a new job up here at one point, and then I was there for about 6 months. It didn't quite work out, and then ended up going back to my former company, which is now where I'm currently still employed and working more remotely up here, but still pretty active with the product design process. I have a couple more 3D printers to prototype with here, so it definitely works out, and definitely was able to convince my boss that it would work out, and I've been back there for another couple years now. So
is your first one, is that the most sentimental?
I would say so. It's where I learned how to actually use the 3D printer. I kind of learned everything from that printer. I had that printer for 2 years before I got my second printer, and I also kind of started the YouTube channel with that printer and ended up making a lot of tutorial videos on the things that I learned that I noticed a lot of people who had that printer were asking a bunch of questions in the Facebook groups that were active at the time. And so, yeah, I would say it's the most sentimental out of the four I have back there.
Yeah, I still have my Maker Gear is not working right now. I Maker Gear M2, but I can't part with it. I love it. I still will look at it and my heart will pitter patter. It's always like there was which Star Wars movie was it? Was it The Force Awakens where Han and Chewie come back on to the Millennium Falcon and their faces? That's like my face when I see my Maker Gear.
I can definitely relate to that. I can definitely my first one too. I think my memories are a little bit less fond. My first printer almost convinced me to quit 3D printing. It was a bed slinger. It was one of the first Prusas. It was made by Maker Farm, and so a little bit of humidity there, a little less humidity here, and all of a sudden your prints just kind of go crazy. So I moved on from those a little happily, but I appreciate all the iterations that I've had. And improvements since then. So yeah, so good for you guys for having good memories for your first one.
It's definitely given me a lot of perspective, especially with 3D printers in today's time. Back in the day, back in 2020, you didn't have auto bed leveling, you didn't have removable build plates on many machines. It still has the glass with like the fancy coating on it. It has little leveling knobs in the corners. So like I am very grateful that I had to experience all that, but I'm also very grateful that it's come a long way. I don't have to deal with some of those things anymore as much, but it certainly makes you appreciate the technology as it's advanced a little bit.
Absolutely. And so, and speaking of advancing the technology, like, it's one thing to print something that can fit in the palm of your hand, but to print big takes not a whole, but you have to think about things a little bit differently. My experience, I'll share this with you. My experience with printing large is that I wanted to get a large nozzle, print something large, so it printed faster. There's nothing worse than waiting a day and a half for something because your nozzle size was a little more diminutive. But Jano, tell us, how it is that you decided that big was the thing that you really liked the most in your practice.
You named yourself before you like when you started your channel, you were going to do like video games, and then you went into 3D printing to make yourself more unique. So you already had the name.
Yeah, so Big Jano kind of came from my online profile for when I play video games online with friends. That's kind of where the name came from a little bit. But the keep doing it big kind of tagline was kind of two parts to that. The first part was I told myself back whenever I got my first 3D printer that I wanted something that I can print. I wanted something with a little bit bigger volume. I didn't want to print small things, or I feel like I would print bigger things than smaller things just because of what I was what the projects and ideas I had at the time. But the other side of that, the keep doing it big tagline to me, was just, to me was really just trying to emphasize that, whatever you do, whether it be 3D printing or whatever your aspirations are, just to do them to the best of your abilities, and to, it's like kind of like the go big or go home saying. It's kind of that mentality that I try to, encourage other people just to, whatever you're doing, just to do it to the best and the biggest you can, we're not here on this earth for very long. So, try and make the most of your opportunities. And that's kind of where that kind of came from. So,
gotcha.
But yeah, no, I've always had a fascination for printing things that are larger. I don't know if you guys are familiar with like Ivan Miranda. He has massive printers that take up entire buildings, and he's done some really massive projects. I think he printed like a boat or a canoe, I believe it was.
Yeah, I've seen that.
I haven't gone to that level yet, but that's a lot of those really big projects that I saw, early on really inspired me, and that's kind of why I like the bigger volume.
Wow, that's great. That's great. Yeah, go ahead, Vicky.
Oh no, you go, because it's a jump.
So when you're talking about printing big, so what size nozzle do you usually use in order to get to that size?
So right now I currently have 0.6 nozzles on, I believe, the majority of my machines. I have a Prusa XL, two-tool Prusa XL back there. I have a 0.6 on one of the tools. I do have a 0.4 on the other one. I probably will swap that out to a 0.6. I have used 0.8 millimeters before. At one point in time on the old Anycubic that I showed earlier, I did have a 0.8 millimeter nozzle on that, and I actually made a video on getting your Cura slicer dialed in with that nozzle, so you can still print larger layer lines and still print. It wouldn't take you wouldn't have to kill your speeds down too often, or too much, I should say. But right now 0.6 is kind of where the sweet spot for me, especially with the Prusa back there. And I believe, I think everyone except I think the Delta printer still has a 0.4 on that one, but 0.6 to me is a sweet spot I like.
Was your Gingerbread City that was on a 0.6 nozzle?
Yeah, so all the Gingerbread City parts were on the Prusa XL, which were a combination of 0.6 and 0.4.
Wow.
Well,
and so what was the inspiration for the Gingerbread City? I mean, you could have done anything, but
yeah. So I think within the first year of doing content creation around the holidays, I wanted to do something fun and festive. And at the time, I was like, you know what? Let's 3D print our very own like gingerbread house kit. And I do have the older models sitting on the shelf back here, all of years past. And people, the community really love that idea and they love that tradition. And we have done that for the last 5 years.
Wow.
And so every year we've kind of grown from the last year's design. And I would do I'll live stream the work on my Twitch channel. And the last couple years, I had decided that instead of just doing a standalone house or building or to create some sort of a gingerbread display. And we added lights. We added a music track. I went and found a bunch of different music audio tracks and compiled it into one like 20-minute music soundtrack that goes with the light show. We did our first iteration of this was back in 2024, and the community said, "Well, you have to keep this going," and I'm like, "Great." How am I going to top the next year's? And this was the result of last year's display. Last year we kind of did a gingerbread, or 2024 we did like a gingerbread factory, and this year I kind of wanted to expand off of that and almost kind of keep a little bit of the story we had with that one, and kind of tie it into this one a little bit.
Oh,
so.
Yeah, and if you're just listening, we're showing footage from Jano's YouTube station, and it's got skyscrapers, it's got little mom and pop shops, it's got fountains and intricate light show like you would see like the Bellagio or something from Las Vegas.
Yeah, and that was kind of the inspiration too. Is I love going on the internet and looking up all of the really cool light shows that people do on their houses every holiday season. So that was kind of something. It was something I've always wanted to do. I currently rent my house, so it's kind of hard to do that with that. But I'm like, well, I can make a model of a city, and I can do the same thing. Once I figured out some of the components, how to make it happen, it was I had a game plan. I just kind of started rolling with it.
Wow. What components were those that you were able to do the light control?
Yeah, so I can show those off here. I do have my one camera here, so that's a live look at the gingerbread city. It's on my table over here. I was supposed to take it down last weekend and start getting it packed up for the Rocky Mountain RepRap Festival, but I got distracted, so it's still up here a little bit. I'm going to move the camera just slightly over to the back. You can kind of see. So I have the component to the left is the control board for this particular display. Normally I usually find like ESP32 type devices, some just really tiny microcontrollers that you can find online, either Amazon or like AliExpress if you really dig deep on there. This controller actually is utilized with people. If you want to actually do a light show with your house, on like an outdoor light show on your house, this actually is a controller you can use. So this is I believe it's called a Dig Quad, I believe is the name of this particular controller. There's a website. They custom build these PCB boards. There's actually an ESP32 built into the board. There's actually also built-in fuses. It's a really intricate board. It's actually kind of overkill for what I normally do. But the reason why I use this particular control board, and I don't want to hold the camera. The reason why I use this particular control board is that it integrates with the software that actually syncs the music and the lights together. So
wow,
it's compatible with that software, and I can show that off here in a little bit. But that microcontroller has 4 different strands of LEDs. They're all addressable, so all the colors and effects that you see are fully customizable down to the very pixel.
Oh my goodness.
And then everything is wired up to just a giant power supply sitting back here and plugged into my outlet.
Yes, that looks quite hefty. The fuses on there really, that's what really caught my attention. There's a am I also seeing, is there a
Zoom in.
am I also seeing
Rose,
an
you're a streamer. Sorry.
Okay, yeah, no, you're an excellent streamer. Thank you so much for bringing that forward for us.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is there an SD card there, or is that a memory chip on top there, and you program it with a USB-C?
Yeah, so there's a USB-C port that you could use. That top section is the ESP32 device that actually is you can actually remove it, and you could you can plug it into your computer to reflash the software that controls the lights as well. And then with the ESP32 controllers, you can program other things to it as well. But it's modular, so you can actually remove it. There's a little breakout board underneath that actually kind of fits into. So there's I think there's customizations too. You can swap out the fuses if you'd want to. I think I think they just pull off from the top. But there's also other outputs as well if you want to add additional lighting, or if you want to add additional voltage wires to help with voltage drop with some of the lights. If you're using long strands of lights, like hundreds and hundreds of lights, if you're doing an outdoor display, that is a pretty common safety technique just to prevent the lights. It allows the lights to work properly, and you don't have any electrical issues.
Wow. And so I was looking at your Thangs profile, and you have several things on your Thangs that are lit up.
Yes.
And so with those 3D prints, do you also show people how to light them and control them and all kinds of interesting things like that?
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of my early YouTube videos, I showcased a lot of my my early projects, and I broke down how I would do things. And a lot of my live streams as well. If anyone watches my Twitch live streams where I'm working on some of these projects, I usually go over the types of things that I usually use and I utilize, and also try to talk about what goes into some of these projects. And I'm actually working on a larger YouTube video I'm currently editing down now. That's talks about a lot of these LED components in much more detail, and how you can actually utilize them in your 3D printed projects. So hopefully I'll have that hopefully have that done in the next couple of weeks. I'm trying to, there's like over an hour's worth of footage I'm trying to edit down at the moment. So it's taking a little bit of time, but for most of my light projects, it really comes down to three basic things. You have, well, I guess four things. You have your 3D printed part, and I just have this on my desk as an example. This is one of my LED diffusers. This is actually one of the panels from this set of lights back here.
There's a Jano Leaves.
Yes, this is Jano Leaves, not trademarked. And this is one of the I call this my Y light because it kind of looks like a letter Y. But this is just a diffuser. This is a 3D printed PLA part. And this is what I use to diffuse the light that is shining from the back. We have our LEDs. This is the type of LED I use for this particular light here. These little tabs that are getting washed out by the light are actually what house the LED ring on the inside. So it kind of sits in, kind of like that, kind of sits in on the inside of that a little bit. I get some tape.
Oh, I see.
Tape it down, and then it actually just reflects the light onto the inner surface of that. So you have your 3D printed part, you have your LED, you have your microcontroller or controller. I use a couple different controllers. The one for the Gingerbread City is kind of the overkill device, but something as small as this is just a little, another little control board that has a little 3D printed case on it. I'm trying to pull it off so you can kind of see just something as small as this. Will power on your lights, and then a power supply. So what's great about these, and what's great about a lot of the controllers I also use as well, they all utilize a really interesting and free software that really works well with a lot of these addressable LED lights. So
Oops.
those three components. I'll go back to moving the camera back this way a little bit so you can see the. I might have to zoom out. Hang on 1 second. There we go. There we go. There we go. So yeah, a lot of the projects, there's three ingredients. You have your lights, you have your controller, and you have a power supply. Those are basically common in every project I do. Along with this software. This software allows me to control the lights individually for any type of project, not just the Gingerbread City. Any of these lights back here are also integrated with the software, so I can set up each controller with a different IP address, and I have full control over those. And this is all web interface. You can also download their app on their phone. So if I'm at an event like 3D Printopia, I can play around with this on my phone as well. So it makes it nice. I don't need a computer, but it's really cool.
So you can make changes on the fly then on your phone?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So this interface is pretty much the same on my phone versus the desktop here. But what's cool about WLED is that it gives you so many different presets for colors. You can also customize your own colors as well. But they give you all sorts of different color combinations. Like I'm just going to click on this rainbow one here, and you can see it kind of shifts. It just changes color pretty quickly. You don't have to wait too long. There's also a bunch of different effects you can do as well. If I click on, let's see, color waves might be a good one.
Oh,
You can see the effects start changing a little bit. For this particular model, you can also segment each of your LEDs. So in my case, I had to segment all of these per grouping for the light. I guess the groupings were a little different in this case, but I had to group all these buildings on the right-hand side as one group. I had the buildings on the left-hand side group as another set, and then the lights that are on the floor by like the fountain and everything were its own separate entity as well. You can actually do that in the software. You can set it up that way. You can make as many segments as you want, so you can have different things. You can have different sets of lights have different colors and effects.
wow.
Wow.
And this software is a web-based?
Yes, it's a web-based software. It's fully open source. It's free. It is fairly easy to understand. It's fairly easy to understand once you there's a bunch of tutorials on YouTube as well, how to get set up with your LED strips. And you can also utilize different types of LEDs with the software. You don't have to use the specific kind I use that are fully addressable. There's also different iterations of LEDs you could utilize with this. You can also change. There's a couple other things you can do in here as well. You can set timers. You can set presets. So with my background lights, I set presets. So like if I'm streaming, I can just click a button and it will set everything to the brightness I have it at, the color scheme I want it to be.
Wow.
And you don't have to do all that manually every single time too.
Wow. And so now with the things that you have on your things that came out kind of funny, but the things that you have on your things, somebody can get the LED controller and go onto WLED, program it, and then have their own palettes for their lights and things of that nature. What light controller did you just show us that was in the box?
Oh, so this one here, I believe this was. I'm trying to remember the name of this one. This is a controller I bought not too long ago, or I ended up getting, I think, as a gift. I believe it's called the MAGWLED controller. This little guy is probably the smallest form controller that I have lying around. I do also have. I'll try to hold up to the camera a little bit better, but it's just a little tiny control board. It's a custom built control board by this company that designs and sells these. I do also have another type of controller that I use. It's basically the same functionality as the other controller, just a little bit different schematic setup. There's a couple more outputs for wires, and this one more or less connects to a cage power supply. So one of those, like that heavy duty power supply you guys saw behind the Gingerbread City. This connects to one of those a lot easier. This one is I would utilize this for a little bit smaller project that I can connect to, say like a battery, like a portable battery pack, or even just USB on my computer if I have to test something out. So different controllers are utilized for different things. You can certainly utilize this for a smaller power supply, but it all depends on the application and how many lights you're running.
Do they do they travel pretty well?
Yes. Yeah. These fit in my carry-on bag really easily. They don't they stay intact pretty well. I try to utilize smaller controllers like this quite a bit when I'm traveling at events like 3D Printopia, just because it's less wiring that I have to do on site, and less, trying to get the power cable screwed into the wire terminals is not always a pain, but it just takes a little bit more time. This one is a lot easier. I can just flip these little quick connect, release is up. You just put the wire in there. You strip the end of the wire with a little bit of copper. It slides in there, and then you just click on that, and it locks into place. So,
do you fly or drive to Rocky Mountain?
I end up flying out there. It's a little long of a drive from PA to Colorado. So I usually fly out there every year. But I did end up driving to 3D Printopia. That was about a 5-ish hour drive.
Oh yeah. We'll be closer this time.
Yeah,
and you're taking your Gingerbread City to Rocky Mountain. How many suitcases is that gonna? Have you figured out how you're packing it? Okay,
hopefully one. I actually just went out and bought a brand new suitcase this past weekend because my other one got. The other one I took to Murph last year, and it ended up sitting on the floor where it got really humid and wet. So I just ended up buying a new suitcase. It's a little bit bigger than the one I had previously. So hopefully I'll be able to pack everything up for that event in one bag. What's great about the Gingerbread City too, it's because it's a bunch of different parts, it breaks down really easily. I can just pull parts off of it, and it doesn't, I can at least tear it down. All the base pieces all come apart as well. There's like 5 base pieces that all kind of go together. So it does break down quite easily in a box or so. So hopefully I'll be able to consolidate everything. That's kind of what I'm trying to figure out right now is if I'm bringing too much and have to figure out what to boot from the bag, but
that's cool.
And I think thank goodness for technology. It's not like the old-fashioned Christmas lights where one bulb goes out and you have to like figure out which one is the offending bulb to fix it to get everything else going. So then you go.
I was gonna say no. These lights are great. They're pretty rugged for what I use them for. As long as you don't bend them too much, or this is like a circular PCB board. So as long as you don't snap that in half, your lights are gonna work pretty well most of the time. So
that's awesome. Yes, and so now you've got all these wonderful designs, these large things that you're printing. They are obviously original designs. What software do you use to design your prints?
So for a lot of my personal projects, I end up using Fusion 360 for I would say like 90% of what I design. More so because when I first started, it was the only somewhat I don't want to say good modeling software, but it had the most features out of everything I looked at the free price points. So I do utilize a software called SolidWorks for my day job, which is like $10,000 a year if you buy the version of it. So I don't try to utilize my personal projects with my work software just because they probably wouldn't appreciate that too much. Every now and then I do import a file into there just if I need to do something with it, but I've been using Fusion 360 for the last 4 or 5 years, and I'm not the best at it, but I'm definitely starting to utilize it more and really understand its capabilities. There definitely are some great things about Fusion over SolidWorks, and vice versa. But yeah, Fusion is kind of the main software I use for my projects.
Oh wow, okay. Well, everybody's got different types of software that they use, and to kind of get themselves moving forward. And I was wondering, because of your engineering background, which one it is that you preferred. So that's great.
Right. Yeah, and I try not to alienate one software or another. I try to tell people whatever software you have access to and you have the capabilities to learn, and understand, go for it. Not one software might work for one person, it might not work for another, and I really try to emphasize that. If I've gotten questions out of that over the years, and it's interesting to see what all the different types of creators use for because we're not all using the same thing. So
no, definitely not. Wow. And so and also looking at your YouTube channel, I noticed that you also had some technical advising too, or at least a nightmare video about filament that wasn't completely dry. What other things?
Oh, the prime tower that was hanging on for its life.
Yes.
Yeah. Funny thing about that, it pulled off about maybe 5 minutes after I posted that video.
Oh wow!
It didn't last very long, but but yeah, it's as someone as seasoned as me, I'm still learning things every day. I consider failures. I have a fun acronym I like to say all the time. It's failing is just your first attempt in learning. And I utilize that for my projects. I utilize that for my day job. I know I don't always know everything, but when I fail, I usually learn something from it, and that's something I really try to really try to emphasize as well. Is that don't think of failing as a bad thing. Just think of it as another learning opportunity, and to learn something you didn't learn 5 minutes ago. So, but yeah, I try to. I can't say I am the world's best teacher of mechanical design, but I certainly do. One of the things I love about content creation and streaming is when somebody has a question, I'm actually able to answer their question. It really feels good at the end of the day, thinking that you actually helped somebody get to a place they weren't 5, 10, 15 minutes ago.
Mm-hmm.
That makes me more happy than anything.
Wow, well, that's a great contribution too. All too often in technical pursuits, people have a problem with those of us who don't know or don't know as much or are failing at things, and so it's really great that you help people to get through some of their not difficulties, but get to and through skills that they can use as a result of your show. Was that the original idea behind your show, or was it, you said you wanted to do something unique? Did it just develop into that, or?
Yeah, so the original idea behind the big Jano channel was actually 3D printing was kind of the back burner at the time. Back in 2020 when COVID kind of shut things down and everyone was kind of isolated, and me and my buddy were just online playing video games, and I thought, it'd be cool to just be a video game streamer. And at one point my one friend's like, you should go on Twitch and live stream. And I said, that'd be really cool. So I started doing that for a little bit, and then I realized that I'm probably one of 10,000 people playing video games on this platform. What's something I can do to kind of differentiate myself a little bit? And so at the time, I just got on the 3D printer, and there really wasn't a ton of 3D printing content creators over on Twitch at the time. So I'm like, you know what? Let me try to, integrate my 3D printer into things. And little by little, we had the printer in the background on camera printing something, or we started to doing some design work, and we started working on. We didn't really work on projects that early on, a lot of custom projects, but I tried to do a lot of different tutorials on just basics in CAD, and also a lot of tutorial videos on my first printer that I had, and it kind of just took off from there. So
Wow.
He has the most delightful 5-year celebration video, and I started the beginning of the video. It's only like 5 minutes long or whatnot, and I started laughing because he says like, oh, he's playing Among Us, and he says like, I've been watching all of the gameplay. I think I'm gonna be good at it, and then like instantly he's getting slaughtered.
Yeah.
But then,
Yeah,
by the end of the video, it chokes you up because it just shows all of I don't know, just all the progress, and you can see, like up here in the right hand upper corner, your spare bedroom. It's very, very Spartan,
yeah,
and
yeah.
it's just very different from like the atmosphere he has now.
Yeah, my first couple months of streaming were on a 5-year-old laptop at the time. So like the camera output on that was maybe 720 at best. I was filming in a spare bedroom at the time in my old apartment. I didn't have a good microphone at the time. I had to use a random headset that I found somewhere in my closet, and yeah, and looking at the overlays and stuff that I used, I actually didn't realize until just now like how much work and effort I've put it into not only the content but just making it look presentable. I think that's a part of it that a lot of people don't understand. It's like actually trying to make content. You can't just, you can put yourself on a camera and start spewing information, but there's so much more to it. And looking back 5 years ago at how far I've kind of come from that, it was definitely something to be proud of.
Hey, I don't want to burst your bubble, but you're in 720 today.
That's fine.
No. The resolution works very, very well. That does wonders for you.
I've tweaked the camera settings on this camera so many times, and I've never looked up videos on how to like optimize camera settings before, up until I started doing content and streaming. And I don't know if I know people that have like $1,000 cameras that get into like lenses and stuff like that. I don't know the first thing about any of that kind of stuff, so I'll let them have fun with that. But
so yeah, just another thing of your story, you're encouraging people not to fail, and but also, just start even if your bedroom is very plain, like just start and do it.
Absolutely. That's looking back, that's something that I would always recommend to anyone wanting to get into content. Is just, start making little videos. It doesn't have to be anything massive from the get-go. Just start small and stay consistent at it. I think that was one of the things that I think I struggled with a little bit early on, was just trying to consistently, create something. It doesn't have to, and it just and it doesn't have to, like I said, it doesn't have to be anything massive, but just having it out there. You're only as good as your last video, I guess. But it gives you opportunity to grow. You can only grow from where your starting point is. So I definitely don't. I definitely recommend to anyone who wants to get into creation and streaming like that, just start doing it, and get a baseline, and then you can continue to grow from there.
That's great. And consistency and doing it consistency. Don't be afraid to fail. Stick with it, and you can start from very humble beginnings. And I think that a lot of us in the community have not only started from humble beginnings. Many of us are still pretty doggone humble as far as the content. I count myself as one of those people. And since we're talking with you, for somebody that is, for me, I've never done an LED type of project, and I'm intrigued. I would probably want to do an LED project that I could control with a USB-C. I'm not really interested in getting a big power source or anything like that. Do you have a recommendation from your projects or from what you have available for somebody that wanted to go ahead and 3D print something using LEDs and maybe get into the programmable part and the light changing and things of that nature?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, definitely a good starter project would be to potentially print one of these light diffusers.
Which
There,
is
I
on
do.
things.
Yeah, these are available on things. And then also I do have an LED lamp as well over there on my thanks profile. It's like a pyramidal triangular lamp, which is pretty cool. I'm going to be
Uh-huh.
bringing that with me to Rocky Mountain in a couple weeks. But yeah, there are plenty of different you know, I would definitely say get printing out one of these LED light panels, one of the Jano Leaf panels is definitely a good start just to be able to play around with stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of the controller itself, something really easy to utilize with USB-C is this Mag W LED controller that I showed off earlier. This does actually have a USB-C output. There's a
Okay.
little USB-C port on the end here. This is the connector you can connect an LED strip to if it has a 3-pin wire to it already attached, like this one does. And you can find all these on Amazon as well. And I try to emphasize as well on my designs that I really try to incorporate links for all the stuff that I use for a particular project. So if you go on things and see like the light panel design on things, more often than not, I do post links for what I use for the lights, the controller, so you do know what to use. And because that was something I had to really learn, is figuring out what to use. And because there wasn't really any, I found a lot of really good YouTubers that deal with electronics and WLED and LED lights a lot more than I do. But that's something I really try to do. I try to provide all the links to everything I use, just so it makes it a little bit easier for everyone to dive into that.
That's really helpful, because I've got a project, as you were talking about. I've got a project that I wanted to do something with lights for quite some time, and I'm glad that you mentioned the instructions and the links, because I feel like sometimes when we have content creators, and when content is created, people forget what they don't know.
Right.
Get 80% into a project, and then I've gotten 80% into a project, and then just thrown my hands up and been like, I don't know how to do that, and just have to kind of eat the loss on that.
Absolutely. No, that's, it was a learning thing for me. So I try to help other people by showing where you could, sharing things where I found things and where I found products. And what's great about this particular controller too is they actually have a file for a 3D printed case, which
beautiful.
It's kind of washed out on my camera, but you can kind of see it there. This particular controller, you can actually 3D print your own little protecting case for it. So there is 3D printing involved too.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing I'm looking for sure. That is wonderful. And so we're looking at we got the Rocky Mountain RepRap Festival on the horizon, and of course the king of them all, 3D Printopia.
Oh no.
What do you have a project that you're kind of hoping to be able to premiere between now and the fall?
That's a great question. So I'm working on a couple different projects right now. I'm actually working on part of the reason why I have these like sample printed parts on my desk here is I'm actually working on a display, like a demo display to take with me to events. So it's going to have one of these lights on it. It's going to get wired up with lights. And then I'm also going to have one of each of my other past light designs, my Jano Leaf designs, on the same panel. It's going to be like I have this piece of acrylic that I'm going to mount these lights to, and I have a controller and a power supply that I'm going to have for that separately. But it'll be great my goal is to be able to take it to events. So I'm not tearing down the ones on my wall every event and putting them back on, because that's a pain. And so that's one project I'm looking to debut soon, hopefully at Rocky Mountain.
Almost be like an evolution of it, right?
Absolutely.
I was thinking the same thing. Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I have, this was the very first design right here. Just a standard little triangle. It has a front panel and a back cover. The back cover just gets LEDs on, like an LED strip wrapped around the inside edge. And then this cover just kind of sits on top. But my design back then was not great, because when this is on the wall, the panel just kind of falls off. Gravity just takes over and pulls it off. But
Pesky.
But yeah, that's one of the things I've tried to utilize with newer designs is less parts, so less parts to deal with. So this is an
Except for
all-in-one piece.
The gingerbread was like 52 parts.
Right.
Yeah, that it's funny because I actually tried to simplify that down, and it ended up being like 3 times the amount of parts as the original design for the
Wow.
the factory that I did 2 years ago. So it's funny how that worked out, but it worked out at the end of the day, so I can't complain too much.
Wonderful. Well,
Outside of that, I am working on a. So I've been on a maker chip kick lately.
I saw the maker chip. Yeah.
See, with the Rocky Mountain coming up.
So I'm working on a big maker chip, but making it an LED sign out of it. So I actually printed off the prototype V1 of it on the printer. That's what the prime tower that failed was from.
Oh, I see.
So I'm working on basically making I think I scaled it up like 850%. So it's much larger than this. But I bought some these are just some battery powered LEDs that I occasionally use for projects that don't need anything like super fancy. They don't need to be controlled through a separate controller.
Oh, I see.
So hopefully in the next like week or so, I'll have that to show off, and I'm sure I'll have some other. I actually am working on another light panel design to add to the collection. I don't know if I'll have it done for Rocky Mountain, but I certainly should have it done for Printopia in the fall.
Oh. Wow, something to look forward to for sure.
All right. And then you mentioned, like you've got a lot going on, and you mentioned, one of the secrets for success with streaming is consistency, and that you're only as good as your last video. So that makes it even more courageous what you did earlier this year, which is taking a break. So how do you find that balance between consistency and making sure you're in a good place?
Yeah, absolutely. So I this past January, I ended up taking about a month off from streaming, making videos, and working on any type of projects. Just more so just to give myself a breather, because before that I was working from, I believe it was like maybe end of July, early August. I was working on a bunch of stuff to get ready for 3D Printopia, and then right after 3D Printopia, I had a work trip that I was out of town for like almost a week, and then I had another. It was like a long weekend vacation. I was with some friends, but it was like right after each other. And then from there, it was like mid-October, and I got sick, I think, for a week as well in the whole grand scheme of things. And then from there, I'm like, well, I have to start working on this Gingerbread City because I wanted to get that done by the end of the year. And it was basically 4 or 5 months just of nonstop working on stuff. I told myself I was going to take a break for the holidays either way, but I ended up taking a little bit of a longer break just to kind of to regroup. I try to give myself a break, like one bigger break a year, just so just to unwind, regroup a little bit, and also gives me time to think about what I want to continue doing in the future, what types of projects I want to continue doing. A lot of times the projects I'm working on are kind of things I've thought about on the fly. So giving myself some time to actually sit down and think about things, it definitely helps. I mentioned, consistency as something, a content creator really needs to kind of focus on if they want to, grow from it. But at the same time, you also need to know, you also need to know your limits a little bit. And and it goes, with my day job too. I a couple years ago, I had a really bad experience with burnout with my day job. And I think that's kind of where that came from a little bit. And that's why I really do advocate to take breaks when need be. Because, projects will always be there. Things will always be there for you to work on. But if you're not in good shape, then you're not going to do projects. So.
Right. Well, that's great advice, and especially in 2026 when we're all, many of us are running around doing so many things, and it's so easy to maybe have the projects take everything over. So that's really, really, thank you for sharing that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I realized, I think this past break that, I think more than anything that, there's all these things I want to do and there's all these plates I'm trying to spin. But I think I realized during this last break that, I don't think I don't have as many arms to spin as many plates as I initially thought. So it brings me back down a little bit to figure out, okay, like what I really want to focus on, what maybe is not as important. And, especially with, I think one of the things that I didn't focus on a lot last year was the YouTube content that I wanted to do. So I'm really trying to make an emphasis of that this year a little bit more, over some other things that I want to do. So
that's great.
Yeah,
that is great.
Yeah, I'm absorbing, and I'm going to try to channel you. I think I'm very talented at overcommitting, and so I get things done. I get them all done, and I'm not saying yes to things that don't interest me. I think my issue is everything seems like enthralling and intriguing, and I'm curious about. So it's like finding that focus of what you want to concentrate on, and I think even like we're not monetized and we don't have any goals of monetizing, but there's still this siren song of like, oh, you gotta keep doing it so people remember you, or like it's a weird phenomenon.
Yeah, unfortunately, like I know YouTube algorithm doesn't like when you don't post for a little bit, and people take that to heart. I know like people that do YouTube for a living and stuff like that. I can understand the stress that can apply on anybody. It's a game that you unfortunately have to play at times. But part of my problem, I think, too, is just I hate being bored. So I give myself things to do. It just keeps me busy. It gives me a reason to not be bored. But at the same time, it is another plate you have to spin too to realize when you need to unwind a little bit. And I think
that's another plate.
Exactly.
To figure out when
the unwind plates. Yes. Wow. And so like I as somebody that I can relate to the burnout as well. I probably need to pay closer attention to it, but let me ask you this, like, once as you are taking a break and as you're giving yourself the distance and as you're kind of existing with the boredom and stuff, do you know when, or how do you know when you feel like you're recharged? Like sometimes you can say, I'm going to take a break, and 2 hours later you're right back at it. I'm like, how do you, what is your clue that you're not ready to get back into the things that were occupying you before and have them be fulfilling again?
Yeah, that's a great question. For me, it's really just come down to it's the passion I have for designing awesome things to 3D print. A lot of times when I take a break, I try to step away from the computer. I focus on just hanging out with family, friends, just all the other stuff. Other things outside of being on my computer and doing any type of modeling work or working on electronics. But for me, it seems like almost being, for me, I feel like my break is fulfilling enough when I'm bored of not doing anything. Or if I see something out and about that inspires me for another project idea. I think those are two things really, but I hate to say it, just after a couple weeks, I'm like, you know what? I feel like I need to be doing something again, and it kind of just turns the on switch kind of just turns itself back on. I think.
Yeah, the passion for your practices kind of pulls you back in.
Yeah,
you don't force yourself; it pulls you.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, no matter how hard you try to pull back, it finds a way to pull you back in sometimes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah,
All
and I would
right.
add to that, if there's anybody that's in kind of a creative slump or whatnot, just have the confidence that it's gonna come back. You're
Right.
gonna have that spark again, so just give yourself that time, at least in my experience.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. 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 Having that confidence to know that it's going to come back and that passion will be there again. That's a big, huge thing. That's
Yeah.
a big, huge thing. That's good advice.
Absolutely. And
Mm.
usually it always works out, in the long run as well. It always doesn't seem like that at the beginning or at first, if you take a break, or if you just don't, if you're losing the creative spark behind it. But my experience is it's always for a purpose, and it usually always has a really good outcome in the end.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good
And
stuff.
you
Very
also
good.
have the confidence that you're gonna have more ideas come your way,
Yeah.
more inspiration.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if you need a little nudge, go to one of the RepRap festivals or one of the festivals. I always leave more
Absolutely.
inspired than
I
whenever.
I definitely do too. I got inspired by the last RepRap Festival and the maker chips,
Mhm.
and I wound up applying that all over my day job, and that got to me pretty quickly. I burnt out on maker chips, but now that I've just recently gotten back into designing some things, and it's much more enjoyable. So that stepping back is really, really, it's something that I never really thought about, but I definitely have seen the benefits from as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you can make it to a 3D printing event like 3D Printopia or Rocky Mountain RepRap Festival or Midwest RepRap Festival, they're definitely, they're and I tell people too, you don't have to go there to show off you don't have to go and bring a bunch of stuff to show off. And
No.
I spent the first 3D Printopia I went to, I brought myself, and I volunteered on setup day to help people with load in, and I spent the whole weekend just hanging out with everybody and seeing all the cool stuff other people made. And those types of events are always fun, because you look at all the other projects people make, and it's like, wow, this person's doing even cooler things than I'm doing at some point. And I think one of the things like I really loved about 3D Printopia last year too, I forget the name of the company, but they brought in all the really cool scenic elements. I forget their name, but they had the giant Ravens football helmet in the back corner.
Oh yeah.
But meeting them for the first time, and seeing all the cosplay outfits and all the armor and all the swords, all the different cool things you could see, and it's just cool to see what other people are doing too. But
yes, it is. Yes, that's my favorite part, is seeing what other people use this machine to kind of make real, which is what attracted me to 3D printing in the first place. Is you can have an idea, do a little design, next thing you know, it's sitting there in front of you, which is, I think, a unique thing for us as human beings in our collective history.
Absolutely.
And how approachable people are, and how they're uplifting for other people. So that's
one of the things I love about the community, is that I don't think any one particular person is using 3D printing in the exact same way as somebody else. Everyone's kind of doing something unique into their own tastes and what their personalities are and what they want to do. And I think that's just awesome.
I'd agree. I would definitely agree with that assessment. Yeah. Well, so I mean, as we're moving into the future to as the community comes back together for these festivals and everything, is there other things that you want to just to highlight, Vicki?
Oh, no, I'm good.
Okay.
I was just double checking the name. I think the name of the company that you're talking about was Hatch Exhibits. So I wanted to give them, full credit, but I wanted to fact check the name.
Hatch Exhibits.
And I was busted.
That's all right. But we have that's been another hour of How Would You Slice That?
And another fast hour at that.
Yes, indeed. And so, Jana, we really want to thank you for being on the show. And of course, this is the internet age. So let's see those YouTube channels and the Twitch and the things. You got our links, Vicky?
Yes, they're in the YouTube description, and I have been posting some in the chat. But yeah, definitely. I don't think I put his Twitch on yet, but we will do that.
Yep, I'm also on printables as well. I'm working on trying to kind of get back into printables a little bit as well, with up for a lot of newer stuff moving forward as well. So, you should. I'm under the same name on printables as well. So,
all right,
that was great.
That flew under my radar. I saw the things. I'm like,
yeah.
he must be exclusive there.
Yeah, no, I've used things for a long time, and then I think I with this Gingerbread City, I think I posted over on printables. I think that was the first time in a couple of years I've shared anything over there. But I'm right now utilizing both platforms. At some point in the future, I might consolidate to one or the other, but all my models right now are on things and printables. So definitely check those out there. And then with the Twitch link down below, Tuesday and Thursday nights around this time are usually when I live stream. So
you might still have time.
No, not tonight. But yeah, all the projects we talked about on the channel, a lot of the times I'm working on them live on Twitch for you guys to hang out and see me working on things. And a lot of times we're working through we work through problems, or we're just working on designing designing the early iterations of a new project, and usually work on things all the way to the end. So the Twitch live streams, you can hang out there and see all the progress of those.
Well, good. Great. Thank you. Well, I'll definitely.
Did you always knew that you had like a really good voice for streaming and podcasting, or?
No, not really. That's the first time I've heard that. But thank you.
Oh no, like you turn it on. You have a really good streaming voice.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
Excellent. And so, Vicky, the next prime number Tuesday
is 1 week.
Oh, yes! Yay!
All right, yeah. So we stream live on Tuesdays that are prime numbers, and next week is April 7th. And so we will be joined with a gentleman named Sean Woods. You may have also seen him at 3D Printopia, and he has a number of projects, but one of the things that he really focuses on is food safe models, food safe things, which is obviously not straight with 3D printing. He's using a FDA grade resin to coat his things, and so he'll be talking about his projects. And from what I can tell on his YouTube and from talking with him, he is quite the personality. So I think it should be a fun episode.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to that.
All right. So I guess this is the time where I try to articulate my gratefulness for, thank you, Big Jano, for taking time off of your Tuesday night stream to be here and share your knowledge with us. Absolutely. And thank you, Lawrence. And thank you, chat, for keeping those questions and keeping everything engaged. We hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful night. So any last words from you two? I don't mean to steal the limelight.
Keep doing it big, everybody.
Yes, keep doing it big. That's good. That's the best way to end it.
Absolutely.